Have you ever looked at the stunning landscapes of New Zealand and wondered, how did this incredible country come to be? From fiery volcanoes and shifting continents to legendary Polynesian navigators and determined European settlers. The story of New Zealand is a tale of epic proportions. Today, we're diving deep into the origins of Aotearoa, the land of the long white cloud. Let's journey back in time, millions and millions of years, to uncover the secrets buried in its rocks, its culture, and its history. Our story begins not on land, but deep beneath the ocean. About 85 million years ago, a huge chunk of the supercontinent Gondwana broke away. This submerged landmass, known as Zealandia, was mostly underwater, with only a few peaks breaking the surface. For tens of millions of years, it drifted across the Pacific, a ghost continent hidden from the world. Then, around 25 million years ago, a dramatic chapter began. The Pacific and Australian tectonic plates started to collide with immense force right underneath Zealand. This colossal geological battle pushed land up from the seabed, folding and faulting the crust. This incredible tectonic uplift created the dramatic mountain ranges we see today, most famously the Southern Alps. Volcanoes erupted, shaping the North Island with its geothermal wonders. This slow, powerful process of creation gave birth to the islands of New Zealand, a rugged, isolated paradise, teeming with unique plants and animals that evolved in complete isolation, like the iconic kiwi and the giant moa. For millions of years, these islands were a world of birds, silent and untouched by human hands. But that silence was destined to be broken. The next chapter in New Zealand's story is one of the greatest navigation feats in human history. Sometime around the 13th century, Polynesian explorers set out from their mythical homeland of Hawaii. These master navigators, known as Imbori, traversed thousands of kilometers of open ocean in their waka harua, or double-hulled canoes. They were guided by the stars, the ocean swells, the flight of birds, and an incredible ancestral knowledge of the sea. Imagine the courage and skill it took to undertake such a voyage into the unknown. Legend tells us of the great explorer Kupe, who is credited with discovering this land. He named it Aotearoa, land of the long white cloud, after the distinctive cloud formation he saw hanging over the islands. Following Kupe's discovery, waves of migration began. These first people, the Imbori, brought with them their culture, their traditions, and their deep spiritual connection to the land. They established iwai, or tribes, across the islands, developing a rich and complex society. They adapted to the new environment, hunting the giant moa, fishing the abundant waters, and cultivating crops like the kamara, or sweet potato, which they had brought with them across the Pacific. Their world was woven with stories, songs, and intricate carvings that told the history of their ancestors and their relationship with the natural and spiritual worlds. For several hundred years, Imbori were the sole inhabitants of Aotearoa, shaping and being shaped by this unique land. Then, the world outside Aotearoa began to take notice. In 1642, a Dutch explorer named Abel Tasman became the first European to sight the islands. His encounter with Mbori was brief and violent, and after a tragic skirmish, he sailed away, naming the land New Zealand after a province in the Netherlands. He never set foot on shore. For more than a century, New Zealand remained a mysterious spot on European maps. That all changed in 1769 with the arrival of the British navigator Captain James Cook. On his ship, the HMS Endeavour, Cook circumnavigated and meticulously mapped both main islands. His journals, filled with detailed observations of the land, its flora, fauna, and its Mbori inhabitants, brought New Zealand to the attention of the wider world. Cook's voyages opened the floodgates. Soon, European and American ships began to arrive, whalers, sealers, and traders, all seeking to exploit the country's rich natural resources. They traded with Mbori for food, water, and supplies, introducing new technologies like muskets and metal tools. This contact had profound and often devastating consequences. The introduction of firearms dramatically intensified intertribal warfare and new diseases, to which Mbori had no immunity, swept through communities with tragic results. At the same time, Christian missionaries arrived, seeking to convert Mbori to their faith. They also played a complex role, often acting as intermediaries and advocates, while also contributing to the erosion of traditional Mbori culture and beliefs. As more and more Europeans, known as Peak, began to settle in New Zealand, tensions over land and resources grew. The British government, initially reluctant to get involved, became concerned about the lawlessness of its subjects and the competing interests of other colonial powers, like France. To establish order and formalize its claim, Britain decided it needed a treaty with the Mbori chiefs. In 1840, this led to the signing of the Treaty of Waitangi, or Te Tiriti o Waitangi. This document is the founding document of modern New Zealand. However, it's also a source of immense controversy and debate to this day. The English and Mbori language versions of the treaty differed significantly. The English version suggested Mbori were ceding sovereignty to the British Crown, while the Mbori version Te Tiriti implied a partnership and a sharing of governance, with chiefs retaining their authority or Teino Rangatirat. These different interpretations would lead to decades of conflict and misunderstanding. Following the treaty, organised British settlement began in earnest. Companies like the New Zealand Company established towns and brought thousands of settlers who were hungry for land. This massive influx of colonists put immense pressure on Mbori communities. Disputes over land sales, many of which were unfair or fraudulent, escalated into a series of bitter conflicts known as the New Zealand Wars, which raged through the mid-19th century. These wars, combined with land confiscation and discriminatory laws, resulted in the large-scale loss of Mbori land and a devastating blow to Mbori society, economy and morale. From the late 19th century onwards, New Zealand began to forge its own identity as a nation within the British Empire. It developed a pastoral economy based on farming sheep and cattle, becoming Britain's farm, exporting vast quantities of wool, meat, and dairy products. The invention of refrigerated shipping in the 1880s was a game changer, allowing perishable goods to be sent halfway around the world. The country also gained a reputation as a social laboratory. In 1893, New Zealand became the first self-governing country in the world to grant all women the right to vote, a landmark achievement in the fight for equality. It also introduced old-age pensions and industrial relations laws that were progressive for their time. This period saw the growth of a distinct peak New Zealander identity, tied to the land but still looking to Britain as home. So, from the geological upheaval that raised it from the sea to the legendary Maori voyagers that first populated it, and the complex, often fraught history of European settlement, the origins of New Zealand are a rich and layered story. It's a tale of creation, discovery, conflict, and adaptation. The legacy of these origins is visible everywhere today in the stunning landscapes, the vibrant Mbori culture, and the ongoing conversation about what it means to be a New Zealander. The Treaty of Waitangi remains at the heart of the nation's political and social life, as the country continues to grapple with its colonial past and strives to build a bicultural future. The story of Aotearoa New Zealand is still being written, built upon the foundations of this incredible, multifaceted history. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey through time. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about fascinating histories from around the globe, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what part of New Zealand's origin story you found most interesting. See you in the next video.